looking over animals, both clean and not so clean. Not my housekeeping, that's the kind of animals they are. And we have our canine friends and our turtle friends. And so we begin this morning by considering some of the wisdom of Solomon. For everything that happens in life, there is a season, a right time for everything under heaven. These words help us understand how the things we originally believe about God as we grow in stature and faith might change over the years. It helps us see why it is sometimes good and right to discard certain established beliefs for different, sometimes seemingly contradictory beliefs. There is a time for the holding of the old understandings. There is a time for believers to grow in faith and begin to hold new understandings about familiar things. Noah filled the ark with all sorts of animals from God's creation. It was a time when it was believed some animals were more acceptable than others. And even though God deemed some animals more acceptable for sacrificial use and use in sacred rituals than some others, God makes it clear that all of his creatures were important to him. The earth was to be repopulated after the great flood with all kinds of the creatures which God made to his glory and in his wisdom. The Jewish life was originally established by God to be separatist in nature. His people never seemed to be able to stay pure in their devotion and worship of their God when they mixed with other people. All of the writings of the earliest understanding of God's requirements for his people made God seem harsh at times. All of the old writings made his people seem unwelcoming to all other kinds of people. The truth eventually became known that the Jewish people loved their God and his law and his teachings and their religious lifestyle. They actually believed in welcoming the stranger and the practice of generous to a fault hospitality. The only thing the Jewish people couldn't tolerate was the worship and higher devotion to false gods. Only their God was and is the only true God. When Jesus introduced a new way to understand and love God the Father, the Jewish community was split. The established religious leaders refused to believe how the law could be downplayed over a preference of lavish love taught by one who called himself the Son of God. The common people, who felt downtrodden and oppressed by the teachers of the law, were greatly accepting of Jesus' message. Above all else, God is love. The disciples of Jesus carried out the work of Jesus and went about the important work of growing the young Christian church. Some followers of Jesus would always consider themselves Jewish, while others understood themselves as new creations in the person and message of Jesus Christ. It was an interesting time for Peter when he discovered his ministry found favor with the Gentile parts of his world. Now, the Apostle Paul was a different thing. He knew with certainty that his Lord Jesus had called him to preach the good news to all the Gentiles. God knew Peter wasn't entirely comfortable about the idea of associating and sharing hospitality with Gentile outsiders. So God gave Peter a teaching vision. 3 times heaven offered Peter a sheep full of animals. Peter was invited to kill and eat from any of the exotic new choices that Peter grew up being taught were traditionally and ritually unclean. Peter could not bring himself to accept the new foods. He missed out on lunch. But as soon as Peter met Cornelius and his household, Peter knew the truth of the vision from God. It was time to start believing a new idea about an old familiar practice. Peter told Cornelius he knew it was time to no longer consider any human being beneath him or unclean. God sent the clear message: if God calls something permissible and clean, you must not call it forbidden or dirty. We are the people of God today. We believe all human beings are created in the image of God. We must understand that every human being possesses the same divine spark that connects each of us to our Creator. No human being is beneath us. We are all treasured and loved by the Creator God. In this much at least, we all start out being equal. What God has created and pronounced worthy to be loved as good and clean, we must not call that creation unwanted or dirty. On this Sunday, the closest one to October 4th, we celebrate the day set aside as the Feast of St. Francis, the patron saint of needleworkers and animals, so I'm pretty much covered. We remember the love expressed by St. Francis of Assisi for all of God's creation and creatures. Let us be one with the spirit of St. Francis as we recall and listen to his words. All praise to you, O Lord, for all these brothers and sisters. The brothers and sisters to which he referred included not only humans, but non-human brothers and sisters, creatures as well. Today, in honor of St. Francis, we will end our worship with a traditional animal blessing for all of the pets in attendance this morning. And this act of blessing, whenever it happens, whoever does it, the act of blessing is the last word I want you to take out with you. Do you know what a blessing is? We all say it from time to time. It was once believed a person was in danger of losing his or her soul when they sneezed. The soul was going to get out with the sneeze. And so that's when somebody started the tradition of saying, Gesundheit. That's German for God bless you. We still do that today. And now, in addition to that, when someone says or does anything, something which especially touches us, in a way of gratitude and thankfulness, we say, God bless you. I want to help you enter a time of thinking about a blessing in a new way. Probably new to your understanding. A blessing is a request or a pronouncement spoken by you, calling on God to impart a gift of power, a gift of life upon a person, place, animal, or thing. It is a great thing to be or do when you bless someone or someone says you are a blessing. A blessing is a prayer. It is a breath prayer. It only requires a second of thought. It only requires a breath of air to do something so very great and powerful. And anyone can do it. I am sure everyone here has said this expression at some time or another. A blessing is what we all need to think about the next time we believe we can't do something in the name of God. We all may not be a preacher like Peter and Paul. We all may not be able to prophesy or speak in tongues. But we can be a blessing for God and His people. We can tell someone else about how God has blessed us. We can share what blessings come from believing in God through Jesus Christ to another person. We can be a blessing through any act of love. It's a time to think about blessings in a new and different way. May God bless you richly this day.